Quick shout out, guys, to our sponsors, Anglesey Family Chiropractic. They're in Coeur d'Alene. They're in Spokane Valley. Dr. Craig Anglesey, I've known this dude for 30 plus years. He's an amazing family man. Awesome chiropractor, will get you feeling great. Go check him out. Hey, I also want to give a shout out to the Threads podcast, Life Unfiltered. Look, listening to this show is like sitting around a campfire with your best friends. The talk is real, the humor is natural, and personal growth is sparked by authenticity. Go check them out. Threads podcast, Life Unfiltered.
Mike, you're a podcaster, photographer, MMA fighter, man, much more. Thank you so much, man, for your time. I appreciate it.
Nah, no problem, man. Thank you.
I like to start my shows off going back a bit. What was childhood like for you? Where'd you grow up, man?
Grew up in Houston, Texas, man. Childhood for me was, it was pretty cool, pretty pleasant. You know, I grew up my stepfather, my mother remarried. He was a doctor. So, I come from a privileged background. It was fun growing up in, and with that, I had a lot of just dope experiences in life, and that kind of parlayed into sort of helping me become the truth and doing what I'm doing right now. But it was just a fun time, man. Just enjoying life and sports and athletics and just I don't know, just like I said, just enjoying life, man. Nothing crazy. Like I never had any, you have some people who have like some crazy ass stories and shit, how they got to there. Like that, I just didn't have that, People, when they were like, yo, you're fighting? Like, what? It was just weird but I always did my own thing, I always wanted to go the path that just things that interest me. I didn't, I was supposed to be like a doctor and then an engineer and all these things. And I just was like, yo, that's not for me,
Right.
And really it all just fell in my lap. It was just, for me, it was all almost just right place, right time, knowing the right people, right connections. And I'm here. That's really my story. It was funny because I was able to, over this quarantine, I'm getting to have these conversations with people. And I was talking to a good friend not too long ago, and I was able to, because it's been like, for me, like this whole time in MMA has been almost a blur.
Right.
It's kind of just run together. But I was able to sort of to chronological to go down the line from day one to how I got here, and really by it I found that I continued going up another level. It was just out of like to troll people. Like this whole thing got started with this, like the lady she owned the gym that I was at.
Okay.
And then like she was talking shit behind my back, and I made like a blog video, was just like poking fun at her. And then that kind of started it. That was sort of like the first little seed. And then, another dude kind of pissed me off, and that made me do something that took my game to another level over that. So my dude was just like, yo, you just did shit out of spite, and just was just like, and just fucking people you just retaliated against people being assholes to you. I was like, yeah, I guess so. So,
right.
That's really how I just got to where I'm at, man.
Come on.
My first MMA fight was in 2008. It was on an amateur card. Mick Maynard, who's now the matchmaker in the UFC.
Yeah.
He had started a promotion called the Lone Star Beatdown.
Okay.
Maybe a few years, probably I want to say like 2006 maybe.
Okay.
And then, but he only did like one or two. It was like early days, like Anthony Njokuani was back in the day. Yves Edwards back in the day.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was on like this message board. Like I just got into MMA, and then I joined like this message board, and then I saw like Mick was like, yo, we put on some fights. And I was like, oh shit, I live here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I had my first fight 6 months into training, which when I think about it is wow. Like I shouldn't have been doing that. I was dumb.
Right.
But it was a different time. Like definitely wouldn't do that in 2020.
Sure.
But in 2008, man, I fought in a bar, which was pretty dope at the time. I fought in a rodeo arena. I fought I didn't realize this till years later. My second fight, and then it was end up in a movie too. I was also in a movie for this shit.
Oh, cool.
I was on a Dustin Poirier undercard. At the time, had no idea. But years later, I was like, oh shit, like I remember that dude. and now he's fighting for titles and shit. So
Yeah.
It's just been a wild journey, man. But yeah, 2008 was the first.
2000. Okay. So how many amateur fights did you actually have then before you went pro?
I don't even remember because I just there was really I was just fighting because I just enjoyed it. Like there was never I never had intentions to go to the UFC. I would never to be some pro. I just really I found some shit that I just like to do. I was in college too at the time.
Okay.
And then shit, I don't even remember how many amateur fights I had. maybe like 7, 8, or 9. I don't remember.
Okay.
But then I ended up I won the Golden Gloves out here.
Yeah.
In Houston, and then I did some kickboxing as well. So I had a little bit of experience, and then actually, you know what? I went pro in boxing first because that's what I was going to do. I was like, I'll just go box.
Yeah.
So I was with a trainer. I was doing that, and then because I was covering the sport, I had this idea, since I'm covering the sport, I need to for myself, my own personal thing, I should do maybe one MMA fight a year.
Okay. And
then just to do it. Because I'm still training in MMA, but my real love is boxing.
Yeah.
And then I had no intentions of fighting. And then my guy, Colin, who was he was like the now ring announcer for Legacy and the matchmaker.
Right.
I get this random call one day. And coincidentally, I just got back into it. I hadn't been training for a while. I actually took some time off to let some injuries heal. And then I got back into training I was in there for a week off the couch, off injury. And then I get this call. It sums it up. It's like, yo, you want to fight in the UFC for a chance to fight CM Punk? What?
Yeah, what?
It was just wild. And then, by this time again, I had 1, 2, 3. I had at least 3 pro boxing. At this time, I had pro fighting experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't and that was the thing. People didn't know that. They just I was just this journalist or whatever. They're dude, I actually fight.
Right.
The journalist does more so the hobby than the fighting part. But yeah, he hit me up. He was like, yo, you want this fight? And I was like, yo, let's do it.
Yeah.
I just think it was back. It was kind of rushed. I really didn't not to say I didn't prepare, but it was just really quick. It was really short timing and stuff like that.
Right.
But after that, it was just, let's see what we can do with this. And we just kept building. We keep building the brand, man. And just trying to figure out again. All this was just an idea.
Right.
I legit, everything that I've done, I just thought about it and created this shit and made it happen. Man, and so right at this point, I'm just trying to figure out what's the next step, And so once we get that, it's gonna be fun.
Man, your MMA story is unbelievable to me. You signed in 2016 to fight Mickey Gall, and then you signed 2 years later to fight CM Punk. You beat him. You ended his career. I mean, what was that experience like for you going to the UFC, man?
So it didn't. So for the Gall fight, because I'm, teammates with Derek Lewis, so we fought on the same card. It didn't hit me. The whole thing, it didn't hit me. We were at our after. We had one of our sponsors got an after party at this spot.
Yeah.
And I remember we had our own little section. And the music, it was just weird. There was music blasting. It looked like a scene from The Matrix. It was just real wild.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting. I could barely. All I could really do is hear my thoughts. I couldn't talk to anybody, nothing. And it just hit and then it was probably 1 a.m. I was like, oh shit! You fought in the UFC. It was real weird. But the whole thing, it was kind of one of those things because I've been in the sport for so long.
Yeah.
I worked with Legacy. At that time I was up to Legacy, and I had experienced all of these sort of behind the scenes workings on how everything goes. So for me, it didn't, even to this day, man, it really just is because I see it, I see all the workings,
Yeah.
Because it's my life, and it doesn't impress me as someone that maybe hadn't had those experiences, you know, because I'm always around. These are people I'm always around, you know. I remember, you know, as one of my biggest or my favorite fighters I say growing up, but coming through MMA was Anderson Silva.
Okay. Yeah.
And Anderson Silva, you know, his manager's Ed Soares.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember like the first time meeting him, and I kind of was like, oh shit, that's Ed Soares.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that's my guy. Like, we talk all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so not, like I say, it's just because I have those experiences. Like, I guess I don't have that same like wow factor.
Sure.
But it is the Punk fight was one that kind of changed my outlook for, like, I really understood what fighters go through more so. And I've experienced, like, you know, it was fun walking through like a hotel with Derek, and I remember it was after the balls was hot joint. Like, he was still like he was a popular fighter, but he wasn't at the level he's at now.
Right.
But we would just like walk through the hotels, and me not thinking anything. I was like, oh, this is my guy. We just walking, and people just like flock him. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Right.
I had some other experience, some other fight, like big fighters, same thing. And in that was the one where I was like, oh shit, like this is how it's different when you get to a certain level, right?
Yeah.
So then I go into the United Center, and this dude's hometown. And so that was the thing. Like, if on TV you see me walking out, and you can't really hear like anything because you have the commentary. So when I'm walking out, all I hear is boos. It is the most deafening. Like, and the funny thing about that is I've always said, because I said so the fight when I fought on the Dustin Poirier undercard, I was fighting, and it was funny because I was fighting in the other guy's hometown, but I actually had family from, like, I spent a lot of time there as a kid in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But I remember fighting. It was an arena for like 8,000 to 10,000 people. And I remember walking out to that crowd and hearing the boos, and I was like, oh shit, this is going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
Yo, no comparison.
Yeah.
No comparison. Like, so when I'm walking out, like, I can't hear, I can barely hear my song playing.
Wow.
So you see me start to kind of do this on the screen, and that was kind of me. So I'm eating your booze, right?
Right.
Because I was just like, just give it to me. And it's funny because even to this day, people are like, look, did you see his walkout? If you see his walkout, he's cocky and arrogant. I was like, bro, like, y'all have no idea.
Right.
But that's the one thing I take from the whole experience is really getting the because again, I don't like hanging out. Like, when I go to fights, I'm always like backstage or, you know, ringside. Like, I don't really, you know, sit with like the real fans like that to really get that experience.
Yeah.
But man, that's the one thing I would take the fan experience from that as the biggest takeaway for me. And that was just, people will never really get that. Like, to walk into this dude's backyard in his home, and it wasn't like he was just a regular fighter. Like, this dude's a superstar.
Right.
And so walk into this guy's backyard and just, you hear that and you like, oh shit, like, this is wild.
Right.
But I took it all the stride. Like, I love being in front of the camera. I love the attention. So it was cool. But that was the one thing. Like, I was like, all right, I know I'm gonna get booed. I ain't thought it was gonna be that much of a hill out there, but man, they got me.
Come on, man. Well, you take some great fight shots. How did you get into photography, man?
The photography came more as I was a kid. You know, I always had a camera. That was actually one of the things that took me to the next level. I got into the fight photography just as some dude pissed me off, and I was just getting back at him.
Okay.
And so it was the fighting. Because I'm a fighter and I know body language and I know, like, I know movements that a typical photographer probably isn't going to know. Right. Like, I was just catching shots and so quickly when I first picked up a camera and started shooting action shots. Like, because at first it was just like, still shots, portraits, fans, me taking pictures with people, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I started doing the sports photography, and just having that gift of it, that eye for sports and for fighting and body language, it kind of gave me an advantage. And I just picked it up really quickly. And I saw that I can make money doing that. Because I started doing like these video blogs, which was kind of how I got my name. Yeah. But the photography side of it, it was what allowed me to grow as a brand and as a business, to invest in myself, to build the brand. It was the photography side. And so I just dedicated my time working at that and focusing on getting better. And I feel, man, I put my work up, against all of them, man. Like, I love Esther's work. I love, like, she's actually who inspires me the most, Esther Lynn. But I feel I'm right up there with those guys, as far as quality photography, So that's what I strive to. She's the GOAT. And I strive to be just as good, if not better than her, when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. Well, you also have this awesome podcast called The Truth About Stuff. You've done over 100 episodes, man. Come on, that's awesome, dude. For those who don't know, what's your show about?
So The Truth About Stuff, it's a good friend of mine. His name is Richard Burmaster. He's been in the game, probably longer than me. He owns his own gym called Strong Style MMA out here, BJJ black belt. Yeah. It's primarily about fights. We like to recap and cover events going on and fights and in the fight world, but we also like to tie in popular culture a little bit to it, just to give it some flavor and help people who may not be interested or know much about MMA. They can kind of gravitate toward the things and then learn a little bit. I've had people kind of hit me up. It's like, yo, I learned some stuff about fighting, listening to y'all. So it kind of just helped out like that.
Right on. Well, I wanted to transition to a few fun questions here for us. I've got these things, they're called pod decks. I love these things. They're just random questions, dude.
All right, let's do
it. We'll see. Hopefully they don't flop here.
I like random questions, man.
It says, when you think about success, who comes to mind and why?
Ooh, when I think about success. So I hate to be, because I don't want to go like to like celebrities, people, like popular people. But my stepdad, he, without getting too deep into it, he was what inspired me. He was a doctor, now retired, but he also did real estate, and he had other like practices that he started up. And so I saw that growing up. I was learning the stock market at 9. You know what I'm saying? Awesome. So he was what inspired me. He helped me become the person I am today.
Okay, awesome. And like I said, you're a fantastic photographer. Is there a shot that you've taken, you're like, that's the best shot that I've ever taken? Or is there just like, it's hard to tell probably?
Man, it's so hard. But during the quarantine, I'm going through pictures and I'm, reminiscing through the memories. And the one that sticks out to me is this kid named Alden Correa. I've trained with him since he was like 14. Okay. He's like 21 now. I've seen it, and the dude's amazing. More than likely be in the UFC one day. But because I've trained with him, so I know his fight style, and I have this amazing jumping knee. It's like just a straight jumping knee. The time, the form, the landing on the deuce, everything was just So that's just the one that comes to mind because I saw a reason, but it's definitely in my top 10 of all-time favorite photos.
Sweet. I got 2 questions left for you. What's your favorite type of music or favorite band for you?
Ooh, favorite type of music is probably just going to be some good rap, some good hip hop. Okay. We're talking like the Jay-Z's, even like some current guys I'm listening to, Big Crit, Sahada Prince, The Baby. Something. But then I tell you about it, I also love some Houston. I'm on my Houston kick right now. Yeah. I'm listening to the UGKs, the Bun B's, the DJ Screw, Slim Thug, Flu. I go on and on, man. That's definitely because for me, I'm such a chill guy, so I like that slower paced tempo. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So right now it's a lot of Houston rap. I should be more specific. Houston rap.
Okay. Do you have a favorite fighter?
I again, it was Anderson Silva. Yeah. But then I just got to the point where there's just so many amazing fighters. It's hard because I'm not just a fan. I don't just watch. If I were just someone who watched UFC or anything like that, I think I could pick. But because I cover the sport as well, man, there's so many guys. I get to travel the country watching fights. And there's just so many people that are doing, man, my guy JP St. Louis, he trains out of Rufus Sport. That's the one that comes to mind. My dude Empa, who trains out at Jimmo in Charlotte. He was on the Contender Series.
Yeah.
Ryan Spann, who just did his thing. Obviously, Derek Lewis. I can go on and on, man, because I like some, man, Justin Gaethje, what he did this weekend. And, you know, it's funny, like when I did the travel, I get to train with these guys. So Denver, I trained with Team Elevation.
Okay.
And I remember a recent conversation with Justin. He was talking about my shin pads. He told me I was going to break my foot or some shit. but shortly after, he like walks in the thing and he basically puts a bounty on himself. He was like, yo, $1,000 anybody who can knock me out with body shot. And I just looked and I was like, yo, that's going to be fun. No one got the bounty that day. Yeah. But I like him now because I've seen the evolution of Justin Gaethje. I remember from the point I didn't know who he was to having we had some dope conversations. I've learned about him to now to see what he just did, dude. He's up there, you know. So it's hard for me to pick one guy. There's just so many, man.
Yeah. Well, dude, I also wanted to give you an opportunity just to give a shout out to coaches, teammates, sponsors of your podcast, whatever, man. The video's all yours, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. My shout outs, man, it goes to the team, man. I got Crew Bob, that's my general. I got, you know, UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich, who's in my corner. Oh. I have my guy Richard Burmaster, my podcast. We did the Truth About Stuff on all platforms. Of course, you can check it out at MikeTheTruth.com/podcast. All my social media is at The Truth Jackson, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can just stay up, man. I post solid content. It's fight, it's pop culture. It's just I give you everything you need.
Man, it's such an honor to have you on my show today, Mike. This is awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Man, I appreciate you for having me on your show.
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for watching this video today. I really appreciate it. If you could go and share this everywhere you can, leave us a review, leave us a rating. We would really appreciate it. That helps us get the word spread out about our podcast and about our show. And we can bring you amazing stories of the people that we bring on for the Bearded Biz and the Top Rated MMA Show. Thank you again. Have an awesome day.